generally in South Africa, so if I start with the last phrase, where we are at the moment, generally in South Africa, the NGO world is in serious trouble. So the house that Kosi opened, officiated the opening in Berea, if you've read the book, and the house next door we possibly have to sell, simply because our cash flow is zero at the moment, as with a whole lot of non-profits in this country. So much so that we are forming a lobby group, and I'm becoming an activist again, which God forbid in my age, really. And we're calling it the disaster area of non-profits, because we are all in serious trouble. But where we are here from a project point of view, if we shut shop in Berea, we have enough space just to accommodate those residents. So we'll have 147 children and about 38 moms once we close there. Then we unfortunately have to shut our doors to anyone else who may need our services. And what we are finding at the moment in South Africa is we are being asked to accommodate infected children, orphans, who are being cared for by a caregiver or an extended family member who is not maintaining the regime of antiretrovirals. So these children are defaulting, they're becoming ill, they're developing an immunity to the regime they're on. So that's the next crisis by the looks of it in this country. And God alone knows what's going to happen in that zone. Another area of concern, and we've experienced it firsthand, is particularly our teen boys who have been infected from birth are very angry young people. They, the testosterone is starting to gallop. The reality of their status is now here, and through no fault of their own, they are HIV positive. So they have to look inwardly, and do I disclose to my girlfriend? Do I submit to the pressure of my peers and get a girlfriend, etc., etc.? So we've had big problems with them. They've defaulted. They have wanted to assume responsibility of their own med-taking. Then we found them defaulting, so we now do DOT, which is direct oral transmission, and they have to sign for it. But if they don't, we've drawn up a contract with this child, and we've said that we accept that they want to take responsibility, but they have to take responsibility for their own hospital appointments, make sure they get to the hospital, and in the event of them defaulting and or becoming ill, that they have to acknowledge that it's their own responsibility. I got legal advice on this, simply because I can't sit on the chest of a 15-year-old boy and shove drugs down his throat. He's either going to puke them up on me anyway, or, I'm never going to get onto his chest. So I got legal advice as to where my responsibility stopped as a caregiver and where a teenage responsibility started from their own health point of view. In South Africa, we've got crazy laws. I think it's an 11-year-old has the right to ask for condoms without parental consent. 14 years old, you can ask for a medical procedure, i.e. termination of pregnancy, without parental consent, and or HIV testing. Yeah, no, say no more. I mean, this is... But which gives us more leeway to hand over the responsibility to a child who is defaulting, who just is on a slow suicide mission. And I use that term with them because I say to them, look, if you want to die, just tell us. Because then, I'm not going to flap. I'm not going to go into a panic, and I'm not going to come down on you if you're not taking your medicine. 21-year-old girl last year at Christmas died, simply because she had not stuck to her regime. She wanted out. We had to respect it. I couldn't sit on her boobs and force drugs down her throat. I would have preferred it if she'd gone out and shot herself somewhere where it would have been quicker. Because what she looked like by the time she died was lousy. And we'd had her since she was 13. She got infected through rape, so her whole history was terrible. And you have to try and deal with this, but you also have to, at some stage, say to a child, your choice. So those are quite heavy issues that we've dealt with this last year, because it's been hectic. A lot of the hospitals have formed support group for the teenagers, where it's worked on some occasions, and on other occasions it hasn't, because there's still anger. A lot of these kids are orphans, so they've lost parents, they haven't had proper bereavement counseling prior to coming here, so all of this is now manifesting. Pretty volcanic at the moment across the board. Then it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen, because if they do go out and have unprotected sex from an anger point of view, their viral load might be undetectable at the moment, but we don't know what's going to happen. So it's an issue that we don't know what the long-term implications are. And it's, I don't know if anyone's doing a study. I'd love to have done a study, but I don't have the time. And then it also makes us feel, we've got a couple of toddlers, 4 or 5-year-olds that are infected. And you wonder what they're going to be like, because our teens have only been on ARVs for about 5-6 years. So it's not a lifetime. What are my little 4 or 5-year-olds going to be like when they're 14? After 10, 15 years of medication. And everyone says, oh, it's chronic manageable disease, and it's just like having sugar diabetes or high blood pressure. The issue is it's sexually transmitted. So there is a difference to the actual person who is taking the medication. It's chronic manageable, just like having sugar diabetes. You don't get sugar diabetes from having sex. Hell of a difference. And HIV is a lot more personal. What else do I need to say? What else do you need to know? What are we dealing with at the moment? A lot of our, as I say, we've got a lot of orphaned HIV kids who've been placed with us, and their histories. We admitted a 9-year-old girl on Thursday, and I only found out yesterday that she was infected through rape. So we, at the moment, are looking through the legal channels as to whether we can still do something about this rape legally. And if we can't open a criminal case, if she knows who the perpetrator is, or if we can try and find who the perpetrator is. Because that child needs to be able to put something to bed. She's lost her mom, she's suddenly in a place like this. Has no idea why she's here. She can't speak the language, she knows a little bit of English, she's been going to a township school. So she's a very confused little girl, and it's lousy. It's awful having to try and make her welcome when she looks at me like I'm a bloody nutcase. And she's now become friendly with one of our horror children. Oh my God, this kid, she takes, I love her to bits, but she's got a squinty, and this child attacked her teacher the other day with a pair of scissors, and she sort of had the scissors at the neck, and we got the phone call. So we've taken her out of school, and she's 7 or 8, so those are the kind of issues we deal with. We've got 34 teenagers, and teenagers are their own breed, very special, and they drive us nuts, but we tolerate them. Our therapist deals with them, I don't. What can I say? We're a big, huge family, but with so many different facets, spokes to the wheel, and we have to deal with each one. Each spoke has its own issues. Each spoke is its special person, and we just have to accept that and work with it. The facilities, Dion asked me to mention, we drove past some building down here. We're building a preschool on the property now, so that we can do intensive early childhood development on the property. So once our kids are here, they'll start play therapy a lot earlier. Instead of 5, 6, 7, they'll be going at 2, 3, and that will all just happen while the kids are at school, charge up to therapy block and charge down. All of our kids go to either preschool off the property or private schools or skills schools and things like that. So we want to start our interventions a lot sooner. They see the play therapist, but now at the moment it's only over the weekend or a Saturday or Sunday, which isn't satisfactory for some. Some of our kids need pretty intensive interventions. So it's now going to be much more, what's the word, all on tap. But yeah, the costs are going to go skyrocketing. So we'll just have to work hard at raising more money. And then we've got the farm. Down the road, we've got 12 acres. That I'm trying to raise money, and it's been impossible to set up on a sort of kibbutz co-op style of living. There is a corporate who's very interested in the whole buzzword in South Africa at the moment, sorry to divert, is food security and job creations. So this company is keen to link in with us to build some cottages on the farm, and we train those kids who got a lot of school dropouts through circumstances, train those kids who are interested in farming. And that's a very good prospect, but it's not in the bank yet and the deal's not signed, so hold thumbs. And then we just carry on, and I'll retire and I'll go to Hawaii. I've had it. Any questions? Please just fire questions. I know you want to go to the kid. And there's dessert.
How many kids are actually here right now?
105.
105.
And that's from about 11 months to 22. Yeah.
You said there's a therapist on site. Is there also doctors on site?
No, we have a trained sister, nursing sister, and we've got a 6-bedded sick bay unit. Our doctors, our residents go to hospital on an outpatient basis, and if they're sick, Sister Rose is pretty good, but they will be taken by car to the hospital, get the diagnosis, either admitted, if not, will come and be treated here. They get all their antiretrovirals through government hospitals, and it's all free of charge. And we don't deal stabbing wounds in teaching. Yeah.
I was just curious, when we cut through it looked like there was the kids getting some tutoring or helping with school. Are those volunteers or interns that are helping them out with that?
We've got one intern at the moment from Canada, and the rest of our volunteers are mostly from Germany at the moment, and they tend to stay with us for between 3 months and 12 months. And then they get involved in the general running, the general childcare, and if their command of the English language is good, then they will assist with homework. Because, if the accent is hectic, then the kid's not going to understand a bloody word anyway.
Where do you put your interns up? Do you have housing for them, or?
They live on the property, and we actually need the money to build a particular or special volunteer cottage, because the ones they stay in are for residents, and the residents' cottages don't have kitchens, because they do communal eating from a nutritional point of view. So the volunteers don't have the chance to go out and get their own steak and do a steak, that kind of thing. But yeah, they live rent-free and things. And they have their laundry done. And they're great. Some we sort of ask that we don't get someone who's just broken off in a relationship, because then we have those dramas, or a recovering substance abuse person, not good. Eating disorders, not good. But otherwise, we love having volunteers. But yeah, it's a hell of an adjustment, a very different culture, very different levels of priority of everything. So it's, our kids, don't leave your cameras, for example, or your cell phones lying around. My kids value your valuables, believe me. Mm-hmm. And it's just a naturally deprived child. So it's a bit embarrassing if kids steal. I've taken 2 to the police station where they've been dealt with. They wouldn't lock them up. But that's just, it's the norm, but it's not right. So please check for your phone, your cameras or something before you go. And I mean it. Kids. Is that it? Yes.
I saw you posted an email that you sent out outside of the kitchen about the teenagers leaving chicken bones all over the floor, and they got in trouble for that. Is that like common for you to have to discipline, well, any of the kids really?
Is it still up?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because we tried desperately, in South Africa, in the black culture, they tend to eat with their hands. Which is totally acceptable, but not here, because we're bringing them up in the Western way. They go to English-speaking schools, and they want the Western way of life. So that means everything. So when I saw chicken bones on the floor, I asked where they came from, and I was told under that table, and that's where all our teens sit. So you saw the note. So when I asked the teens, I said, what's wrong with this picture? And I was going ballistic. They said, oh, they haven't swept it up. Well, that was even worse. Whoa. So we went back to basics. They have no meat for a week, and they have to do all their washing by hand for a week. I've never had so many apologies in all my life. I've had little notes saying how much they love me. I've had SMSs. I've had streams of kids coming in to apologize because they really would like some meat. And they're very sorry. And we love you, Gail. No, it's terrible. It's just, and you got to sit on them all the time. Yeah.
What is the daily schedule of one of the children here look like?
Okay, from the kids get up at about 5:30, and some 5:30, 6 o'clock is some medication time, and then by 6:30 some of them have left for school because they go right, not the other side of town, but on the western side. And then they come back in drips and drabs, the littlies, and some of the Calvary kids. There's a school just down the road here called Calvary Christian College. They all walk to school, come back at different hours for lunch. Homework starts immediately. We have extra Afrikaans lessons, extra maths, and then we have therapy as well. Most of the play therapy happens over the weekend, but they'll go in for extra lessons. Homework starts at about 2:30. So if there's extra Afrikaans going on, they'll go up in rotation. And likewise, the extra maths and things like that. Weekends are pretty full. We have a youth developer who's put programs together, but we get volunteers very often. They'll want to come and do soccer once a week with with the kids, and that peters off. So the kids get disappointed and things like that. So we've managed to get some of our children into a soccer team or soccer club, but they've started with the 3-year-olds or men. 3-year-olds to 7-year-olds, but it's my older kids who actually want to play. So that's another problem. They have duties to do. They're on a roster for dishwashing and sandwich making and things like that. Punishment, of course, is dishwashing, floor cleaning, driveway cleaning and things like that. They don't go out much, so you can't punish them against an outing. So we've got to think of other ways, you know. Or if the teenage cottage is like just totally disgusting, then we move them in with a caregiver for about a week or two. Oh, no, I hate that. Then they write love letters again and SMSs and beg for forgiveness. But, yeah, it's like a family, you know, it's like home. There's a gap in their education. Some have come from a township school, and so they have tremendous difficulty in writing and learning in English. They might have a good command of the English language, but very little comprehension. So we work hard at that. And we take all of our kids through to the end of tertiary if they have the ability. We've got 4 in college at the moment. But we have a donor who doesn't tolerate failure in tertiary, in college. So if they fail, they're out. Which is quite right, you know. If you've decided to study further, you take the responsibilities.
What about the mother's work?
The moms here have duties and or, depending on her initiative or energy or drive, we'll employ her internally. So they're in positions such as cooks, laundry manager, childcare, matron. The matron here, no, but the matron there, and the real, yes. So we look where possible to empowering them and building their capacity. Most have dropped out from school, so they're semi-literate, so it's difficult to put them behind a computer, because then it's computer and English. We tried to set up a stock-taking system in the kitchen with a spreadsheet. Now I can't do spreadsheets, so yeah, I learn. And very difficult for them, because it's the spelling and it's the computer literacy as well as the stock-taking. So not easy. But yeah, we look at that a lot. Yeah.
What's the most rewarding part for you?
Going home. You know, just generally, I love seeing kids develop. I've got a divine sense of humor, so when some kids are really in trouble, I shriek with laughter. You know, like this kid, teacher phones and we've got a problem with little Kay. She took a pair of scissors to the other teacher's throat. You know, I think, oh God. I mean, we've had one grade 1 child suspended in 2 weeks. Now, it's not right, but then you see that child evolving. You get him diagnosed. Yes, he's ADHD, or this little one is just, we don't know what she is yet. She's been assessed next week. She's possibly a psychopath. You know, but we'll work with it. But it's just seeing the development, seeing them evolve, seeing them mature. Sometimes not as well as we'd like them to. And then you have to acknowledge that some kids are just destroyed. You know, and no matter what you can do for them or will do for them, they just lost. So, but yeah, no, look, I smoke a lot, I drink a lot of coffee, and I drink a lot of Coke. So I survive, but it's just seeing the whole project, quite honestly. And going home. Yeah.
When the kids leave, do you keep in contact with them?
Sorry?
When the kids, like, they move out once they're, like, past
Oh, often, yeah. Yeah, we mother.
do you don't keep in contact with them? Or?
And very often they do. Can I come home to mommy? You know. We had one just recent case. She was living with her boyfriend, abusive relationship, and you get the SMS, please may I move back home? And you can't say no, because yes, we are home. So yeah, and mothers very often let us know how they're doing. Very often they'll email us or SMS us for help. Because they might be living on their own and might be doing something to generate income, but not a lot, so they need our support from a food parcel. But yes, no, we're home. There's some kids I don't want to see, of course, but that's just an option. True.
Oh, yeah, I can relate.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about their living arrangements. You kind of alluded to the cottages. Do they have, is there like an adult figure in each one, or?
There are 2 or 3 adults and kids, and same-sex kids. So unless a mom has come in with 2 littlies, a boy and a girl, she'll stay with them. But you've got the boys' cottage, girls' cottage, and that's normally from about age 5, 6. A lot of our kids are extremely sexualized, and we have to watch that. So a mom might come in with a 7-year-old boy and an 8 and 9-year-old girl. She might stay with the girls or the boy, and the girls will be in a separate cottage. She assumes responsibility for the boys in her cottage. The girls are under a caregiver, but obviously then, if there's a drama or anything like that, mom has to assume a role. But we try and make it like a commune, for want of a better word. Shared responsibility, shared kids, shared mothers.
Do you see leadership developing within the older kids towards responsibility for the younger ones?
In some instances, yes. It's great to see, because you'll see, but more in Berea, but you'll see kids walking around with a baby on their lap, and then they'll start kicking balls and things like that. We've asked them to assume table manners and ethics, etiquette, roles. That's why we have a notice on the door about bones, because they seem to forget. Yes and no. Some will take it on, assume a leadership role very easily. Others feel as though they still need to be mothered. It's quite interesting. A 16, 17-year-old girl might still be a little girl who needs the support. And it depends on where she's come from, what she's gone through. Yes and no. It's interesting. I haven't got an amazing leader out of here. We've got one girl who's just finished her communications in university and television, and she's possibly my strongest leader. And she's also very well presented and a good spokesperson. But she won't come here and sit with 5 of my littlies and discuss television production as a career. She would if I asked her, but it wouldn't be a natural. You know. And I think they're all too busy surviving, or having fought for survival. You know.